Hey, Patrick McCauley from McCauley's Garage here. Today we're going to be working on some cylinder heads for a 59 Corvette. That one right behind me you can see there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the heads that I'm going to be working on today. They're original to the car. We picked these up in Ohio, but they're 3755550 casting number. These heads would have been produced on early 59 Corvettes. They would have stopped somewhere around end of April for the production model year of 59 because there was a design change with oiling, I believe it was. There was a service bulletin, and so they changed the oiling, or there was an oiling issue, something of the matter, halfway through 59 model year. So from the staggered bolt pattern you see on early small block Chevys to the regular bolt pattern on the valve covers, that has to do with that same service bulletin. So I'm going to show you some of the numbers on them. I'm going to show you how to determine whether they're actually a Corvette cylinder head versus a passenger car cylinder head, or a truck, something like that. So there's a couple differences. One's a lot easier to spot than the others, and you got to watch out because people will make counterfeits of these. They'll take the passenger car ones, weld up some holes in them, smoothing them out, flatten them out, and then try to sell them to you as Corvette heads. So huge price difference. Important thing if you're doing NCRS restoration. So I'll show you those details. All right, so here we have our cylinder head, and you can see our casting number here, 3755550. We have our date code here, D149. So this would have been the 4th month, which would have been April 14th of 1959. This would have been one of the last cylinder heads produced in this configuration, being that they stopped these in April of 59. So as you can see, we've got ARP rocker studs that we've put on these heads just to have a little bit added strength. They originally had your shaft mounted with the pin. These were actually drilled with pins in them. And I don't know if that was factory at the time or if somebody had completed that. All right, so here we're looking at the end of the cylinder head. Easiest way to tell if you've got a Corvette head versus a passenger car or truck cylinder head for this casting number, this hole right here, you see there is no hole. This pad right here. On this mounting pad, there's no accessory holes on Corvette heads. They had no accessory mounting holes on the Corvette heads. Passenger car and truck would have had a hole drilled right here, concentric with this circle. So easiest way to tell. All right, and looking at the bottom of the cylinder head here, we're going through and we're going to kind of touch this up, make this nice and new. So the process we're doing right now is we're going to be lapping these valves. So what we're doing is we're taking our stainless steel valves here, and we're just putting a little bit of compound on them. You can kind of see some remnants of some there. And it's just basically like a sand grit that goes in there. And so we'll put that in, we'll put that into its position, and we'll hook the other end up to a drill, and we'll just grind that on the seat. So you can see, I believe I started on these here. So it's kind of hard to tell in here, but they're not finished yet, but they're smoother than they were. You can see that divot right there. That's what we're going to try and get rid of, are those. So you want to see a nice, smooth pattern all the way around here. The valve and the seat will be matched. So you have a nice seal on there. We don't run hardened seats. We'll run a little lead additive from time to time. Kind of puts on these seats here. Helps it seal up. I've never had an issue with my valve sealing on the heads. So that's kind of what we're working on today. We're going to go through all those and do them up. All right, so we're getting set up. We've got our head kind of angled. So what we're going to use is this Permatex valve grinding compound number 34B. So what we'll do, let's see, we'll start off with this small one first. So we want to make sure everything's kind of clean of debris to start, so you don't mar anything up. Alright, and so what we're going to do, we're going to take some of this compound and just go around where that mating edge is on that valve. You don't have to put a ton on there. You can keep redoing it as you go. Alright. And then we'll take some WD-40, or you can use assembly lube or anything really, just something to oil that main shaft. So what we'll do is we'll spray it in the head first, and spray some on here. Alright, and that goes through. So you can see that right here, that's our valve. Alright, and then we'll take some scissors, and we'll have a little shop cloth, and we'll cut like a little 1-inch square out of this cloth. And that is going to be used in our drill on the end so that it doesn't scratch or, you know, put any mars or grooves or any of that kind of stuff in our valve. You know, because if you ran this bare and then your valve hits some friction, start slipping around the shaft, you're going to create some grooves or lines across that. So what we'll do is we'll wrap the end of this valve. You know, you just kind of wrap your towel around it. Drill end goes over all of that. And sometimes you do it a couple times, you'll get a feel for it. So then we'll tighten this up. Alright. And what we'll do, it's kind of hard to see in this video, but just take your drill and you can hear it just kind of grinding. Now on the valve side, it's going to help to hold maybe a towel over it, depending on the speed. You don't have to do this fast, you can do it slow. But depending on what speed you go at, you know, you might want a towel just under your finger so you don't burn it or blister it. And I could have centered my drill a little bit better. And so you'll do this, you know, you can lift it off, put it back on, and you'll feel it kind of grind some more of that compound will get dragged into the groove. Okay, so we'll loosen the drill back off. So you'll see our valve. I don't know if I can get it to focus here. So here's the valve side, so we'll take this valve out. And what we'll do, you'll see there's a bunch of compound on there, so what we'll do is we'll wipe it off to check it. Alright, and if we look really close, you can see it's getting better. We got this little pit right here. Now you'd probably say, oh, it'll probably seal fine, yada yada yada, which it probably would. But just for a little added benefit, we can keep going. The rest of it looks pretty good. So it's up to you how much you want to grind. The better of a job you do, the better it's going to seal, the longer it's going to last. The last thing you want to do is have a spot where you're going to have some burn through, and then it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Alright, so I'm going to show you the valve seat side this time, so you can get a little bit better of a view on what I'm doing on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that valve again. We still have some compound that's on it, but we can always add a little bit to it if we need. It doesn't look like we need to. There's quite a lot on here. So again, oil the shaft. Oil the shaft of your valve. Alright, seat that all the way down. We're going to put our little towel piece over the end of our valve again. Put our drill on. Okay, we're going to tighten that up. And as I was saying before, you can take a little towel with your finger in it, and it'll keep it from getting burnt up. So you'll see we just apply a little bit of a pressure on this side. So just a little bit of pressure, you lift up, push it back down, and that kind of drags that compound back in that groove. And the sound will almost remind you of a dentist office of them cleaning your teeth. It's the drill. The drill. Alright, so if you got a really good setup, your drill's not wobbling around, you know, you think you need a lot more in there, you got a real deep groove, or maybe you've just started, you can always slide a little bit more compound in there. Just put a little bit on your finger here, and just go right on the inside of this valve surface here. And, yep, and then I'll just reapply some. And we'll do it again. So we can put this down kind of slow here and just rotate it around. So if you didn't have all your specialty tools, or you didn't have the funds to go out and buy a bunch of specialty tools, maybe you just have an engine that you just want to freshen up, this is a good way to do it, really low cost. I think that tube of material was maybe like $8, $10, something like that. So you just use your regular drill on the end of the valve, put a little piece of towel in there so you don't scuff it up, or like a rubber boot. I might 3D print one out of TPU. I haven't decided yet, but some pretty cool idea. So. So I don't know if you can see a difference, but that's after grinding on it some more. So, like I say, if you got real deep grooves, this probably isn't the method for you. But if you got time and you can just sit and grind on some valves, then this is going to work. So.